This is the old 8088 motherboard. I actually use them as wallpaper. You can see them all over my my garage wall. I do have the light on in the garage, but it's pretty dim for over here. Okay, the memory chips, you can see along here, the plug-in chips. We call this all shadow memory at the time. And here's some more plug-in. That's some really old memory there. Really old 40-pin memory chips. Before those, we had the plug-in, which were called dip chips, that we would get. I've been around computers for a really long time. So in back in the time, those were the memory chips to get. Back in '91 or so. I want to point out this. There's a BIOS chip, 16. It's on there. It looks like no other BIOS chip. Like that's the BIOS chip right there. Okay, there's some more of the old memory. So memory that definitely belongs in a museum, which kind of my wall is a museum. Don't think I have any. These are old SD chips. They have two little sockets right there. Okay, that's the DDR chip socket. So it has one in the middle. Different types of DDR though. That's the SD chip. There's a little QA over on that side. So these are motherboards. We'll go down over here. That's a Pentium 2. That's a Pentium 2 card. I don't think I have any of the really new. That's an 8-bit slot. That's a 16-bit slot for video cards. Here's a old beast. Okay, Pentium Pro. When it went into that thing. A bunch of 8-bit slots. Two different kinds of memory cards it took in here. The old, really old ones that flipped into place. Okay, I think here's a bank of a bunch of memory. Okay, so that's the long ones that would go into that slot, and that's all the small ones that would go up there, and you can load them up over there, and a bunch of chips over on that side. All right, so at the time, us older guys, we used a bunch of these things. That's a fan just hanging there. So neat little collection of motherboards and all that. But I just want to show you the different kinds of memory on this before we go inside. All right, I want to show you some of my memory chips. First of all, I'm grounded. Okay, and I've also checked continuity to make sure I am grounded to one of the jacks for cable on the side of this, which is the ground. All right, so that's what I use for the ground. Wood does not conduct. At least this kind doesn't, because I have a ESD embedded into this type of wood. I want to show you some different kinds. I just showed you what was out in the garage. Some of the really old memory. I have buku. We're talking buku amount of memory from being in the computer business for so long, some 30-something years. So do you remember what kind of memory this is? Okay, unless you're grounded real good, ESD is grounded, don't touch these like this. Get used to touching them on the edges. All right, to do them, once you zap a hard drive or a memory chip or something, it's going to be totally useless. But these are different kind of memory that you had to have these in each bank, and if you only had 2 of them in 4 banks, you have to have a dead chip along with it. Okay, so that's what those, they were trying to outdo the old SD-RAM chips. And if I could find, you know what an SD-RAM chip is these days, the type of chips that go into the cameras, like the camera I'm using now. Well, there's SD-RAM. Okay, they're called DIMM chips. Okay, now DIMM chips have 2 slots, and this is one I was pointing out in the garage on one of the slots that go in there. So I have laptop memory. I just have buku amount of RAM that has all checked good, but now computers are faster and better. I do have some 2 gig chips, so some people do like those, And my customers that come by and actually, I see that they only have one chip in there. I just disconnected from the ground. I need to hook back up. I need to find a way to make that a little bit better to where it stays on there when I'm working on a computer. Do want to show you some things now. If you go to some places, I know Maryland has it, FreeCycle. It's called freecycle.org, and it's a Yahoo group that instead of throwing something to the dump, okay, you can recycle it, called FreeCycle, and they're free. So you can get laptops, computers, old ones, and you might get parts out of them, okay? Here are 2 gig chips, RAM chips. 2 gigabyte is written right on there. All right, and this is a 128. Now, I'm going to make a YouTube video of a laptop, an Acer laptop, and I did one already on it that had this 128 chip in there. And what I was looking for is another chip, 512 chips or something that would actually work in that computer. So it would be worth replacing the hard drive that was bad so we can build it back up. Well, if you look at these chips, and I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to take one of these 2 chips, and I'm going to flip this over. And you put these together. You can see the plastic right there doesn't line up. Okay, I'm hoping you can see it on the camera. I'm going to try and move the camera around. Okay, I'm disconnected from ground again, but I'm not touching the chips. I'm going to try, and I don't know how close this camera is going to get, but you can see that the area right there does not line up where the spaces are. Move that back over. So the chip won't work in the laptop. It won't fit into the slot. So that's the dilemma that I was in. Okay, let me hook up to ground again. Okay, so I had to go around and actually look for chips. Well, he had a custom computer too, a custom laptop that had 2 512 chips in there, and I moved them over. But that's a different story. That's when I go build up that computer, and I'll make that YouTube video. But the fact is, you need to have the right kind of chips, the right size chips. Now over here, let me slide this over rather than moving that camera around. Take these chips out of the picture. Okay. These are DDR chips, but different kinds of DDR. All right, you have your first DDR chip, your second one. All right, this up here has a PS2 2400. That's when we were measuring that way, and it was also one R times 8. That was 8 chips going across. So now, then we came up to 512 DDR and then PC 2700. All right, with a CL25, and I might have these backwards. Okay, this one might have came first, and then that one. All right, this is a 2 gig chip. Okay, and this is a DDR2. So now let me show you the difference in sizes here. When we take this up and put this on here, look how you can see that pretty clean plane there. Now, when we take this other one, this is the same one as this one. All right, and we slide it over to this one. That's pretty far over. Okay, so now let's take this and put this back over and move this over here. That's a drastic change. So that none of these chips will fit into the slots of the other chip. So you need to make sure the chips are the same. Okay, and it's best to get them from the same manufacturer, and you line them up, and that slot should line up. All right. So most computers require 2 chips to be installed in a set of slots. Okay, so there are an exception. Some of them are 3 of those. Okay, and one over here. There are some exceptions now on that. And here we go with this. I need to find a better way to keep this thing hooked up. Okay, I'm going to put that here. We're going to slide these over. slide these guys in. You got a little preview of this later on. This is a really old chips. Okay, these are called DIM chips. All right, DIM chips they all are the same. They'll fit in that one slot. Will fit in another slot. There's no changes done on the pins. Let's get this out of here. Slide them over. Okay. There is no difference among the chips. The big difference are the numbers. All right. So you have to make sure that all of the types of chips matched. Okay, the labels. And some of them don't have any labels at all. For example, this is 128 meg PC100. So you need to make sure that you have another 128 PC100, specifically a PC100 chip, because that's the speed of the computer. Okay, so this is a PC133. That would not work. This one doesn't say anything on it. So what I would have to do is go online and look up that number to find out the specs for this chip. Okay, and this has a bunch of stuff. If your eyes are real good, it has the number on it. You can go online to look. This has PC133 and a bunch of numbers afterwards. And there are two chips here, so whatever the capacity of this chip would be, which I don't see on there, I'd have to go look it up to boot up to actually get the specs on it, or we can just plug it in and do that. But if I was selling this on eBay, which I probably wouldn't sell at all because of the age, I would have to look up that number on online to find out just how many megs or K or whatever. This would be megabytes. We're not in the gigabyte era with these kind of chips. Now, I don't have anything older than that, I don't think. But probably the, dead chips. It was pretty comical when those came out, and they were trying to really emphasize, because the speed is amazing with that kind of memory. The speed was amazing on that, but it was I think too late in the era for that to happen. But I come up with some spectacular kind of memory that I even take my memory chips out of my computer and replace them because it's more memory. If your HP laptop has 2 gigs of RAM and you're allowed to take another 2 gig, you're going to computer comes through and you test out the memory, put it in there. Hey, now you're up to 4 gigs of RAM. Okay, may never use it, but it's always nice to have. All right, hope you liked the video. Share with a friend if you do. All right, and hey, if you need RAM, I'm sure we can arrange some type of agreement here. Bye.